Alright, turn the camera on. Alright, first things first, I suppose. Yeah, I'm going to post some Karina video of the meeting thing. But, you know, first there's the waiting for Karina video. And I did watch it. It was kind of funny. So, yeah, it's just me waiting. Some of it's funny. Some of it's just, holy shit, he's just sitting there waiting. Anyway, so, yeah, I'm not going to post it as a regular video. I'll post it as one of those, you know, it's linked, but it's not indexed thing. So, you know, I'll post the link in the description bar thing below, and the bulge bar or whatever. Yeah, everybody's gonna have their own rhetoric for that. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's like a half hour. Well, 40 minutes. I don't know what I'll cut it to. I have to edit a little bit out just because it has certain, you know, private information that can't be disclosed on the fucking internet. But anyway, yeah, so I got to get to editing. I got tons of things to do, so I don't know about videos and editing and whatever. It'll be a little sloppy for the next 3 or 4 days. Lots of work to do. So yeah, link below if you want to just watch me. Yeah, walk around in circles. Anyway, and the arrival. I think the arrival will make it on the first hour. Oh, jeez, yeah, it was funny. Anyway, yeah, so that's it for that. Now on to a subject of some kind. Fred. Yeah, I'll just throw Fred in just for the hell of it. So I really haven't talked to Fred for a while. I sort of missed him. But yeah, he's been kind of doing all this crookedy path, metaphor-y thing. Life is a journey, blah, 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 bullshit. And yeah, I really don't go for much of that crap. I mean, Fred does put an edge on it. He doesn't, you know, he does have dead crows and fucks them and shit, and you know, so it does have some surreal, I don't even know what you call that. It's not a horror movie, but yeah, you just throw in some horror. But it's entertaining horror, which is a little bit annoying, because really horror shouldn't be entertaining. That annoys me when it is. But anyway, that's not his intent. Well, I don't know what his intent is, so never mind his intent. Who the hell knows? But anyway, I just thought I would talk to Fred. So he's been talking about beauty, which is cool. And this really is a driver, you know, in this whole mechanism. Because, you know, for me personally, yeah, if I describe my ideal day, it's full of beautiful things. It's full of a nice atmosphere and, you know, clean this and sparkly that and, you know, good bikinis and all kinds of fun stuff. But it's all really about beauty and capturing it and wallowing in it. And yeah, we won't go into all the other stuff you can do in it. But yeah, that does take you really do have to build a passion for this whole life thing. And that's the other side to this, though, is that we have this perception that we're getting something for free. And do we really get beauty for free? I mean, don't you really have to kind of earn a perception of it? I mean, most of, like, the most beautiful things sometimes are these things that are terribly sad or terribly, just so, you know, like triumphant, like overcoming like the war battle or something, and you conquered the evil and you're free, or, you know, some sort of thing like that, where it's built out of something negative, but it's hugely positive in terms of its purity. Like even a great death, you know, Clint Eastwood, you know, or John Wayne, you know, charging the bad guys, you know, or, you know, saving the little niece girl in The Searchers. You know, there's just beautiful little things that are, you know, the story is the beauty. The story makes it beautiful, makes for the beautiful moment. And I would kind of argue that the want, you know, the building up of the want, the close but no cigar, and then you finally get there, you know, the practice, and you finally hit the home run in the big game or some other kind of thing. Those are the perfect moments, the perfect triumphs, the ones you really had to suffer to get to. So it's almost like beauty requires a bit of suffering. And I mean, I don't want to kind of concede the point, but yeah, I mean, I sort of suffered as a teenager. And for, as a whatever you call that, a 28er, the deprivation of wanting and not having, and that sort of made it even more magnificent. When you finally got to the promised land, and I don't know if I would trade, because in a way I say, yeah, well, starving was a great experience because it gave me that capacity to know what that beautiful moment thing really is. Because maybe I couldn't have acquired that kind of a passion or that kind of an appreciation if I didn't know through suffering what it was. And it's almost like you have to know defeat. You have to know what it feels like to be a loser, to celebrate when the loser is redeemed, when the loser gets his revenge or somebody, you know what I mean? So it's almost like you really have to know these things to be able to empathize and to be able to share in the experience of it when you see it happen to somebody else. And so if you don't have that appreciation built out of pain, it's no gain. And that sort of, it sort of just makes my point, that in spite of what we think, this isn't free. This is, instead of what we perceive, like somehow the pleasures are free. And I'm going to argue that, no, they're not. And they might be built out of some of the greatest hardships and pains that we experience, and that we just, because of the mechanism of our mind, because of how our brain actually does work, that is negated so much easier. Our brain gets rid of the realization. It doesn't keep a record of the failures once they're resolved. It just throws them into some kind of pile of, well, you earned it, but we're not going to think about how you earned it. Because if you actually thought about how many hours and how much pain you actually did experience, how much anguish and loneliness and desperation and suffering and want, and how many hours, maybe your perception would be completely different about whether you really gained anything, whether it really was a victory, when you consider how much it did cost you. And you could almost argue this about everything in our lives. We watch the big sports hero game or whatever. People see the victory and they see all the celebrating players on the field. But maybe if they appreciated, well, how many losses, how many losers is this made out of? Because, you start off with 20 teams in the competition and only one of them gets to win. So that means 19 losers, 19 defeated. Is that victory? Is that something to celebrate? Is that something to feel good about? Doesn't sound like it to me. That sounds like failure. But that's the illusion in all of this shit. It's like you don't see the little minks when you look at the mink coat. You don't see the diamond mined worker, father of 3, squashed 2 miles down the ground in 120-degree heat to pull that little stupid piece of shit out of the ground. You just don't see the reality. You just see the finish, the end, the last day of the World Series or something. And it's built out of a hell of a lot more than that. And it's built out of a lot of tragedy and hardship, a lot of hard work. Just like every professional athlete, for every professional athlete, there's 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000, wannabes who fail, and some of them fail in tragic ways that probably leave them scarred for their whole life by it, because they say for their whole life, if I didn't get drunk that night and I didn't get my leg cut off, if, and they're left with some kind of, knowledge that they put in all this work, they were almost there. All they had to do was take a couple more steps and they were going to be at their promised land. And it's like Vulcan blew up, the end of the story for them. No promised land. Yeah, who's appreciating that reality? Who's putting that into any kind of context? Is that any part of the conversation? Is that any part of this beauty have to have attached to it those snakes, those Medusa evils? And that's the trick here, is that our perception is a lie. It doesn't represent the truth of a circumstance. It doesn't represent the truth of what's paid for it. And so yeah, people will argue and defend something because they're not seeing what it really represents, what it really is. They're seeing the lie of a moment in time and not the whole context of time. It's like looking at life. You can look at this, oh, we went to the opera last night and it was magnificent. The human species is brilliant. Well, yeah, but put that in the context of 4 billion years and all the suffering, all the bloody horror that has taken place for that moment. I mean, there's no way to calculate an equation that somehow makes this make any sense, or makes that even make any sense. Yeah, but beauty is a weird thing psychologically. I mean, it's my most hated word as a philosopher, next to love. I mean, beauty is just too sloppy a word. But as a personal life liver, beauty has owned me my whole life. I sit in awe and I wallow in it. I love that feeling of wallowing in it. Of just that, like I said, that perfect piece of music at the perfect time, or that beautiful woman. That's a theme for me. Women have owned me. But yeah, you just marvel. It just fills you, and so it's a magnificent thing, a perception of beauty, of perfection, of pinnacle, whatever. But I would agree with Fred that sometimes beauty isn't by some sort of, it isn't just the parts. You can't just engineer it, because there is that trickiness to it. It needs to have its own character. I mean, beauty has to have character. And so sometimes it needs a defect. It needs a flaw just to make it less of a fake, less robotic, less status quo, less commercial, less tainted, I guess would be the word, by what we see, manufactured in our lives. They're always trying to manufacture it, and the manufactured copies are always they always have that distinction where there isn't those unique little flaws, that unique little bit of character. It's all the same, and so that becomes abhorrent to our senses just because of our environment. So maybe, unpolluted by commercialism, perfection would be always beautiful. But just because we have to be skeptical of perfection, because it manipulates us, we are manipulated by artificial efforts to create it. We almost hunger for something naturally beautiful, something that at least has the appearance of natural beauty, untainted anyway by contrivance. Purity is another word. I mean, pure, it goes with beauty. There's lots of adjectives, adverbs, whatever, nouns, additives that you can attach to these kind of words that define them. But certainly words like natural and pure and grace are all going to be tied to that word beauty. So anyway, this seems like it's a video. So hey, Fred, yeah, good seeing you and such. And We'll see. Maybe we'll get on the same subject sometime, or maybe not. But either way, do what you must do, and I'll do what I must do, and whatever, blah, 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 and such. Huh, I thought somebody was following me. Oh, I'm paranoid now. Anyway. God. Life has just been very challenging the last few days. Yeah. I've been challenged. I just don't got any will to fight. Anyway, if it don't come easy, I don't want to hear about it. But anyway, that's a whole nother video. One that thankfully I will not make. Let's look under a rock. It's one of our themes lately. Ooh! Oh, no, nothing. Okay, never mind. I saw a hummingbird today. I could actually hear it humming. Well, it wasn't really humming, it was buzzing. My dog's going to bite me someday. But whatever, make him happy. It'll be his victory day. Let's say, I got a piece of that beautiful ass. Anyway, yeah, till next time, such, so forth, whatnot, and so forth, and whatnot. I always said that. Redundancy is not beautiful. This is true.